Welcome back to Universally Speaking, ladies and gentlemen. As always, we're going to take you through some of the action that went down this week. And we started off hot with Monday Night Raw and the situation surrounding the Fiend Bray Wyatt and the World Heavyweight Champion Samoa Joe. All throughout the show, we saw increasingly disturbing Firefly Funhouse videos. Samoa Joe was apparently held captive in the demonic Wyatt's compound, but it was at the close of Raw we saw something we hadn't seen. We saw Samoa Joe rise up against the Fiend and escape the clutches of the psychotic Wyatt. Joe said that he isn't like the others, and he of course is referring to the Fiend's previous victims in Apollo Crews and Roman Reigns, who made drastic changes after they encountered the same scenario. Joe walked out of the funhouse and said, "You know where to find me." No doubt referring to Monday Night Raw, where Joe has been so dominant for so much of this year. Will the Fiend indeed find Joe on Raw? You have to imagine he won't be too far away from wherever that world title is. On SmackDown this week, we saw a remarkable open to the show when Toni Storm acted in a very similar way to the Samoan submission machine. She would stand up to a psychotic and unstable adversary. She would call out Nikki Cross for a fight, and not just any fight. She wants to fight her at WrestleMania, and she's happy to put the championship on the line. This comes after Nikki Cross blew apart the triple threat match that was in place to in fact find Toni Storm her opponent for WrestleMania for the championship. And instead, Cross would take out Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky Lynch, all indefinitely. Just like she did to Ronda Rousey as well, only a couple of weeks prior. Storm has seen and heard enough and now says the ball is in Nikki Cross's court. She isn't a patient woman. She might indeed have to beat the answer out of Cross. And this one has combustible written all over it. And just 1 week out from the show of shows in Las Vegas, something has got to give. On NXT this week, we went off the air with perhaps the most ominous message imaginable. After a classic battle to crown a new number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship, the victorious Io Shirai was exchanging words with the current champion Sasha Banks when the lights would go out. When the lights would come back on, the lighting was vastly different and it looks like Doomsday had arrived. Scarlett Bordeaux was standing in the entranceway in a similar fashion to what she did at TakeOver London. Sasha Banks would wisely make way, but Adam Cole did the exact opposite, and he would rush towards the ring, screaming at Scarlett and demanding that he show his face. And this was a classic case of be careful what you wish for, because Adam Cole got exactly what he wanted in the form of Karrion Kross. Kross would drop Cole with a single shot and then hit the Doomsday Saito. Cole may well have bitten off more than he can chew, having just seen off Aleister Black. He now faces what could be his toughest test yet. Are the sands of time slipping away for the NXT champion? Tick-tock goes the clock. We now look at the World Cup, and here you can see the final standings of the group stages. An amazing 6 nights of action culminated with 3 unbelievable matches, leading to the standings looking like this. In Group A, it ended up being a lot closer than people expected given Sheamus' shock quick win over Gulak, but he squandered the chance to top the group by losing to Tozawa in his final outing in the group stages. But Sheamus still progresses through to the wild card triple threat match. Group B was exactly the same in points but told a vastly different story. Pete Dunne, of course, notably losing his first 2 matches, going away, cutting weight and coming back in a smarter and stronger competitor, saw him scrape through by the barest of margins on the final night, and he didn't have any say over the result. Group B was almost decided purely by a match time countback, but it was ultimately heartbreak for the Welshman Mark Andrews, who narrowly lost to Gaza in perhaps the match of the tournament. Group C was the most lopsided, with Daivari failing to win a match, but that doesn't tell his whole story. Daivari can consider himself rather unlucky in many instances, and he was somewhat in the group of death, and I believe he returns to the roster as a much more well-rounded and tougher competitor than when he left. The real story here, though, is Dominik Dijakovic being undefeated in all 4 matches, including 2 wins over second place Kyle O'Reilly, who found himself in hot water with Kurt Angle after his involvement in the TakeOver London main event. But O'Reilly has avoided punishment for now. We now look at the wildcard triple threat match. As you can see here, the winner of this match goes on to make up the final semi-final spot. Sheamus, Kyle O'Reilly, and Pete Dunne will do battle in a pre-taped contest that will be shown in full on the next episode alongside the 2 semi-final matches that will be shown live the night after. It is a tough road for all 3 men, but if the tournament is anything to go by, that won't faze any of them. The final brackets for the semi-final matches will be revealed once the triple threat match has concluded. And this is going to be one hell of a finish to what has been a hell of a tournament. And we are set for the biggest week in Universe Mode history, ladies and gentlemen, as this will be the final run of shows before we head to Las Vegas for WrestleMania. On Raw, we have a Beat the Clock challenge. Rhea Ripley and Shotzi Blackheart will have a match each, and the woman with the quickest time of victory will get to choose the stipulation for their match at the show of shows. But a loss means you are automatically disqualified, and the other gets to choose the stipulation. And also, Edge, Brock Lesnar, same building, same time. It goes down. You simply cannot miss it. And speaking of same building at the same time, the great one and the one and only will also be in the same building at the same time, because The Rock is live in Las Vegas on his show, SmackDown. And of course, the massive main event that has to be seen to be believed. Chad Gable and Daniel Bryan of ESM will team up against Cesaro and the former leader of ESM himself, Apollo Crews, where the enemy of my enemy is indeed my friend in this case. This one will close the show. And on NXT, Seth Rollins returns to the ring for the first time since his NXT North American Championship victory at TakeOver London. And what will be next for the new champ? We're going to find out on the Black and Gold brand. As always, ladies and gentlemen, it is so important to have all notifications on. We are live for every single episode of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all pay-per-views, including the upcoming WrestleMania. And there are also tons of ways you can support the channel, like heading to our newly rebooted website, myt13.com, for special website exclusive videos and information. And there is also a shop section to the website. It contains the Patreon, where if you sign up as a mid-carder or above, you get early access to every single video that comes out on the channel. And there's also the Murph's Elite right here on YouTube, where you can get access to special sub badges and emotes to use in the live chat as well. The Teespring store is open for business 24 hours a day if you want to pick up some MYT13 merch, and also the ESM endorsed Elite line as well. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, for Murph's YT13, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.